computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
Hello dear listener, and welcome to episode 57 of Life Through a Prism with your host Rob Tierney. In this episode we're going to look at an article from the abc.net.au website. The article is written by Evan Young and National Disability Affairs reporter Naz Campanella. Australia now has a national autism strategy. Here's what's in it and why it's needed. Dated Monday the 13th of January 2025. The federal government has released Australia's first national autism strategy. The federal government has unveiled a 7-year plan to improve the lives of autistic Australians. Australia's first ever national autism strategy aims to create a safe and inclusive society where all autistic people are supported and empowered to thrive. It's hoped the strategy will lead to meaningful change for a group that lags behind the rest of the population in many areas of life. What's in the strategy? All up, there are 22 commitments focused on 4 key reform areas: social inclusion, economic inclusion, diagnosis, services and support, and health. Commitments include increasing accessible and sensory-friendly public and online spaces, considering the feasibility and acceptability of current screening and diagnostic tools, exploring ways to make diagnosis and assessment processes more affordable, and supporting employers to hire and retain autistic employees. The health components of the strategy will be actioned through a separate roadmap which has not yet been finalised. The government has pledged $42.3 million to implement the first phase of the strategy, including $19.9 million over 4 years for a peer support program, providing lived experience knowledge, empathy and culturally tailored advice for autistic people in groups they resonate with. $12.2 million over 5 years for a body to translate autism-related research into evidence-based tools and guidance for service providers and policymakers. $3.7 million over 2 years to evaluate existing programs for improving the lives of autistic people. $2.8 million over 4 years for an epidemiological study to find the true prevalence of autism in Australia. $915,000 over 2 years for new community awareness and education initiatives. $445,000 for 2025-26 for new pre- and post-diagnosis resources. The government released a draft strategy last year before consulting with an oversight council, working groups and the autistic community to develop an action plan. Claire Ghibellinini worked on the Strategy Oversight Council. Quote, "This is not about trying to fix autistic people. This is about looking at us from a strengths-based point of view and trying to achieve better outcomes," end quote, said Advocate Claire Ghibellinini, who is autistic and co-chaired the Oversight Council. The move brings Australia into line with countries such as England, the United States and Canada, which have all launched their own national autism strategies. Why is this needed? Outcomes for autistic Australians are generally much poorer than for the rest of the population. By the numbers. It's thought 290,000 Australians have an autism diagnosis, though the strategy estimates the true number of autistic people to be much higher. Autistic people are 6 times more likely to be unemployed than people without disability. Autistic people are 2 to 3 times more likely to die prematurely than the general population. 69% of autistic 5 to 20-year-olds have experienced difficulty at school or university. Only 5% of autistic people have a bachelor degree or higher, compared with 20% of people with disability and 35% of people without disability. 37% of all NDIS participants have autism, listed as a primary diagnosis, the highest proportion of any disability. This will look at what is working for us so we can continue investment in that way, rather than throwing money at things that we know aren't necessarily right for us or that could be harmful, she said. Amanda Rishworth says the strategy will help drive change for autistic Australians. Overall, advocates are cautiously optimistic about what the strategy can achieve. However, Autism Awareness Australia's CEO Nicole Rogerson said it wasn't focused enough on the critical area of education. Quote, "Your child is at school for 13 years. If we miss the opportunity for their learning and support in those 13 years, then why are we even discussing their employment opportunities? Because they're not going to get there because we haven't adequately supported them when they're young," she told ABC Radio Australia. What do you think, listener? If you're a person listening who has autism, what do you think of this strategy? Do you think it will go far enough? What about what it might miss out on, for example, housing? If you're listening as a parent with a child who's autistic, what could this possibly mean to you in the next 7 years? Would love to hear from you. Let's have a conversation. Till next time, take care and bye for now.